Although the 50s were known for being somewhat of a cold time, with milkshakes that brought all the tension to the yard, the 50s were also a time for growth of culture, technology, media, and family bonding. Now let's grease up your brains and dive into our fantabulous mural. Almost exactly 9 months after the end of World War II and the return of over 10 million soldiers to the United States, the population of the country began to rise dramatically as millions of families began welcoming children into the world. This phenomenon was known as the baby boom. From 1946 to 1964, members of the baby boom generation, or boomers, grew in ranks, eventually representing 40% of the American population, almost 77 billion. Baby boomers grew up in a time of prosperity ensured by economic wealth and their parents' determination to create a world for their children, different from the Great Depression and world wars in which they were raised. Although many baby boomers were children of young couples settling down after the war, some were the offspring of older couples who had been waiting almost 2 decades for a safe and prosperous time to conceive. Prior to the 1950s, America had never seen a time in which the country was so prosperous. As young soldiers came home from World War II into an era of economic prosperity and opportunity, many focused their efforts on settling down, starting a family, and living a normal life. As they got married, they formed family units known as nuclear families. Nuclear families were categorized by the single household homes in 2 parent units. They also included between 1 and 3 children and a breadwinner father and a stay-at-home mother. These families became the normal as multi-generational homes went out of style and families gained disposable income. The new middle-class lifestyle and access to opportunities caused many to create their own nuclear families and move themselves into the ever-expanding suburbs. Returning from the Second World War, veterans looked to settle down, and they were given the perfect opportunity to do so. The GI Bill of Rights guaranteed veterans the opportunity to receive government-subsidized loans, so money wasn't a concern. A man named William Levitt was quick to notice this rising demand for housing that wasn't just attractive, but also utilitarian. From 1947 to 1950, he built a total of 17,447 homes. Much like Henry Ford's automobile assembly line, Levitt's building processes included 27 different steps performed by different people. The suburb he created was seen by many as the new American dream. Resident since 1951, Luis Casano explained that growing up in Levittown, New York, there was a feeling of freedom and camaraderie. It was exciting because we were all learning it at the same time and you were growing up with others who were doing the same thing. Levittown was one of the first modern examples of a suburb. Suburban houses weren't the only item starting to be mass-produced in the 50s, though. TV has been a big part of history in the advancement of technology. However, that all did not start in the 21st century. Long ago, televisions were just becoming a product for purchase at the end of the 1940s, leaving it to bloom in the first years of the 50s. Every household had to have one. From current TV shows like I Love Lucy to advertisements of new food chains such as McDonald's and useful household products, the industry of advertisement boomed. The logic behind using a motive to speed up and grow business with the help of the television. Along with the use of television for advertisements, it was also used to spread information and learn about new things. New things such as Disneyland, which was opened in 1955 and ever since a growing attraction.
The atomic bomb was starting to be developed during World War II by 3 countries. These 3 countries included the United States, Britain, and the Soviet Union. Britain eventually abandoned their project and partnered with the U.S. The United States project was driven mainly by fear of Germans developing nuclear technology. The Germans eventually dropped out of the nuclear arms race, but it was far from over. Nuclear tension kept rising. The U.S. was assembling nukes quickly, as was the Soviet Union. The U.S. had successfully developed a consistent design for what was called the super bomb. The U.S. developed a bomb 1,000 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Super bombs were a looming threat that held dangerous power. Though they were very, very powerful, what came with World War is mutual destruction. During this time, the Soviet premier gave a speech in which he included a statement that said a new world war with modern weapons would mean the end of world civilization.
Sweet. That was
Kinda
perfect.
messed up.
I Love Lucy was one of the
Better
most
than what I
popular
did.
television shows during the 1950s. It was also the start in the breakthrough of sitcoms. The cast included Lucy Ricardo and her husband Ricky Ricardo, as well as many others. The show was in production during the 1950s. More specifically, it first aired October 15th of 1951 and concluded May 6th of 1957. Although its final season aired at the start of 1957, the show still lived on in the minds and televisions of the U.S. We chose to represent this on our mural because it was still and still is a very prominent part of the culture during the 1950s. It was also the first scripted television show. The first of the 6 seasons was the most watched show in all of the United States. This television show is popular partially because of the idea of the nuclear family. Part of the spread of this show was due to the new way of delivering media through television. This show was shot in front of a live audience, which could give viewers the chance to connect more with characters in the sitcom. We feel that it is a significant component to include in our mural because it was very popular as well as tackled not only social issues, but politics and gender roles. Based off the information we gathered from I Love Lucy and other forms of media helped us decide what types of artistic choices we made in our mural. The depiction of the 1950s is one of prosperity, transition, tranquility, and uniformity, as it's represented by the seemingly perfect pastel suburban neighborhood and the bomb of cultural change adding depth in the background.